6 million skeletons lie beneath the city of Paris. They're not in coffins. They're not marked with names. They are just endless, silent walls of human bones. And the most terrifying part, people still enter this underground world, and some of them are never, ever seen again. Beneath the romantic streets of Paris, right below the cafes, the museums, and the lovers walking hand in hand, there exists a city of death, silent, dark, and always watching. This is the true story of the Paris Catacombs. Paris is famously known as the City of Light. When tourists visit, they see beauty everywhere: Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, the charming streets filled with music and laughter. But very few of them realize that just 20 meters below their feet, another Paris exists. A Paris made of tunnels, of complete darkness, of a silence so deep it feels alive. Stretching for over 300 kilometers, this underground labyrinth is lined with the remains of more than 6 million human beings. And these aren't symbolic bones. They are real skulls, femurs, and spines, all stacked carefully together like bricks in a wall. This isn't a myth. This is not a horror movie set. This is real history. And it all began with a crisis so horrifying that Paris had no choice but to hide its dead underground. Back in medieval Paris, people were buried inside city cemeteries. The largest one was Les Innocents Cemetery, which was used for almost 1,000 years. But as Paris grew, death grew even faster. Plagues, wars, famine bodies started piling up faster than they could possibly decay. Mass graves were dug, tendre opened, then used again. Corpses were stacked on top of each other, sometimes 10 deep. Soon, the ground itself became toxic. Residents living near the cemeteries reported truly horrifying things. A constant, overpowering stench of rotting flesh, walls leaking dark liquid from decomposing bodies, and people getting sick without any explanation. Even bread would spoil overnight, just from the cemetery air. Then, in 1780, a wall of Les Innocents Cemetery collapsed, spilling decomposed human remains directly into the homes of nearby residents. Paris was literally drowning in its own dead. The city needed a solution, and it needed one fast. Beneath Paris, a hidden world already existed. For centuries, limestone quarries had been dug under the city to build its famous churches, palaces, and bridges. These quarries were eventually abandoned, forgotten, and became dangerously unstable. They formed miles and miles of empty, dark tunnels right under the city's foundations. So, city officials made a chilling decision. If the dead could no longer stay above ground, they would be moved below it. Every night, wagons covered in black cloth rolled silently through the streets. Bells rang softly, like endless funeral processions. Workers transported bone skulls, femurs, entire skeletons and lowered them down into the tunnels. For years, Paris moved its dead in complete silence. But what began as a practical solution slowly became something else entirely. At first, the bones were just dumped into the quarries without any order. But in the early 1800s, inspectors began to arrange them deliberately. Skulls were stacked into intricate walls. Femurs formed towering pillars. Entire corridors were constructed from human remains. Quotes were carved into the stone walls. "Stop. This is the empire of death." Religious warnings and philosophical reminders of mortality were placed everywhere. The catacombs were no longer just a storage space. They had become a monument to death itself. And yet, only a tiny section was ever open to the public. The rest of feet, over 90%, remained sealed, unmapped, unlit, uncontrolled. And that is where the real horror begins. Even though most of the tunnels are officially closed, people still find ways to get in. They're called Catacombs urban explorers who are obsessed with these forbidden underground spaces. They crawl through manholes. They break through sealed doors. They navigate the endless tunnels using homemade maps. Inside, they find some incredible things. Underground cinemas, secret graffiti art, hidden rooms, abandoned campsites, and strange messages written decades ago. But the catacombs are not forgiving. The tunnels twist and turn endlessly. Some of them collapse without warning. Others can flood suddenly, Many of the passages look exactly the same. A single wrong turn can mean never finding the exit again. And sometimes, people don't. In 1793, a man named Philibert Aspert entered the catacombs alone. He carried a torch in his own curiosity. He never came back. For 11 years, he was simply missing. Then, in 1804, workers discovered his skeleton near a collapsed tunnel. His keys were still on him. His clothes still hung from his bones. He had died just meters from an exit. No one knows how long he wandered in the darkness before his torch finally went out. There were no screams, no rescue, just silence. Even today, his story is carved on a stone near where his body was found, a warning written for all to see. You might think that this kind of thing only happened in the distant past. It didn't. In 2017, police found a video camera deep inside the catacombs. The footage showed a man exploring alone. At first, he seemed calm. But then his breathing became faster. His movements grew frantic. He started running. Then the camera fell. The man was never found. No body, no exit footage, nothing. To this day, his fate remains a complete mystery. Back in the 1990s, French police discovered something even more disturbing. Deep underground, they found a fully functional cinema complete with seats, a projector, a screen, and a power supply. Next to it were rooms filled with alcohol, beds, and food. Someone had been living down there. When the police returned a few days later with a full team, everything was gone. No people, no equipment, no trace. Only one message remained on the wall. Do not try to find us. The catacombs don't just threaten your body, they attack your mind. Imagine complete darkness, no sound except for the constant dripping of water, no sense of direction, no phone signal. After just a few hours, people report hearing footsteps behind them, feeling like they're being watched, and seeing shapes move in the shadows. They experience panic attacks and hallucinations. They lose all sense of time, and all the while, the walls of skulls stare endlessly. Thousands of empty eye sockets reflect your flashlight. It is impossible to forget where you are. You are walking through death. So why do the catacombs still exist? Paris could seal them forever, but they don't. Why? Because the catacombs are a part of Historia, raw reminder of mortality, of past mistakes, and of humanity's complex relationship with death. And perhaps because some places are meant to remain untouched. Official tours cover only a small, controlled area. The guides warn every visitor never to enter the restricted zones. Yet, people still do. Curiosity always wins. Today, the catacombs remain one of the most haunted places on Earth, not by ghosts, but by reality. 6 million people lie beneath Paris. Their names forgotten, their stories erased, their bones forming the very walls around you. Above them, life continues. People laugh, they fall in love, they walk without knowing, and beneath their feet, the dead wait. The Paris catacombs are not just tunnels. They are a warning, a reminder that even the most beautiful cities are built on darkness. And if you ever find yourself in Paris, standing on its glowing streets, remember tees below you lies a city where no sunlight ever reaches, no sound ever escapes. And once you're lost, Paris may never give you back. Thanks for watching. Follow for more stories from the dark side of history.